trillions of years ago, the angels were the guardians of Nirvana. They were the caretakers for the lost souls. They wandered the vast gardens of the world, like monks or shaman. They were beings of nature, always listening, always willing to lend a helping hand to those in need. But as the long eras of the world passed by, a change was beginning to take place. It began in the most subtle kinds of ways. Outcast individuals, those who had strayed too far from Nirvana's sacred light. A darkness was growing in the world, a powerful darkness, trillions of years in the making. The angels were once the loving caretakers of Nirvana, but a change took root in their way of thinking. They began to desire power, status. They began to fancy themselves superior to the other races. Their kindness turned to ambition. Over time, it only worsened. Now the other races of Nirvana were left to fend for themselves. And soon they became enslaved. The angels commanded the other races to do their bidding, spend their lives mining crystals to increase the wealth of the angel race. Despite all this, the angels were never satisfied. They had lost touch with their original purpose, and they took out their dissatisfaction on the other races, on their slaves, while all the while claiming to be the true protectors of Nirvana, whom all others would be nothing without. As the power-hungry angels continued to deplete Nirvana of its resources, in their greed, a terrible darkness was born, the shadow pits of Newell, a world of fire, shadow, and ice, a world so horrific it should not exist within the laws of reality. Like a magnet, the good souls of Nirvana were being pulled into this darkness. The wealth and resources of the angels protected them, while their victims, the other races, could not keep up. Those who were not able to satisfy the angels in their incredible demands would find themselves inadvertently swallowed into the fire pits of Newell. This is where our story changes, to the birth of a boy named Tapion. Tapion lived in a town known as Carnival Corner. It existed on the border between several different nations, on the site of a magical battleground. This made Carnival Corner a hotspot for thieves and wizards, skilled mercenaries, and all kinds of strange folk. It was a chaotic place to grow up. Tapion's mother, Wendella, was a skilled witch, and she taught him many things. However, she constantly feared for his safety, knowing that Carnival Corner was no place to raise a child. Wendella was tormented by paranoia that her child would never have the life he deserved. She was always crafting and casting spells on Tapion to make sure that he was protected, to make sure that no harm could come his way. However, Tapion, on one of his walks in the city, he was caught in a fight between a wizard and a thief that left his face badly scarred. This only confirmed Wendella's fears. She became even more protective, making sure that he never left the house. Tapion would sneak into a library where he would pore over all the books, learning everything he could about the world. So much knowledge was hidden here in Carnival Corner. Some of the most skilled wizards and thieves lived in this city, and they recorded their exploits in great detail. It was a chaotic place to grow up, but also fortuitous. He could learn so much about the world without ever leaving his home. He dreamed that one day he would become a skilled wizard, and he would set right all that had been wrong in this chaotic world. Tapion was an imp. This meant that he could never grow to full height, and with the addition of his scarred face, he was teased relentlessly. So he created a mask to cover the scarred half of his face. Tapion was an artist, so he took pleasure in crafting things.